Let's continue to stories closer to home. The retrieval of the bodies of the 5 men trapped about 890 meters underground at the Ekapa Minerals Mine in Kimberley in the Northern Cape is expected at any moment today. The 5 miners were caught in a mud rush incident last Tuesday. The Minister of Mineral Resources and Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe, returned yesterday and says dewatering, the removal of water from the shaft, has been successfully achieved, and teams have now entered the second phase of loading stones and mud and will soon get to the miners. Let's go to SABC News reporter Ulrich Hendriks, who joins us now live for an update from Kimberley. Good afternoon, Ulrich. When we say this effort to extract the bodies, what we expect now to be the bodies, because it has shifted from a rescue operation to more of a recovery operation by many accounts. When we say it can happen any moment today, at what stage are we at this hour?
Hi, good afternoon, Tulas. Well, the stones the minister was referring to is actually boulders, and we're talking about huge boulders that they, of course, need to get out of the way to make them, to get them out of the way safely. And, of course, that mud that has been plaguing them since the rush last Tuesday. So this is not going to be a quick process. It could happen 10 minutes from now, depending on how fast they can, of course, move those boulders and mud, or it can take several hours or again several days. It just and I'm told that these boulders are actually quite huge. They have to look at it. They have to look at how they're going to move them safely. Some are even talking about the possibility of using some sort of explosives to basically blow them up and get them into smaller pieces so that it's easier basically to move them out of the way. What we have seen this morning, to us, of course, is mine rescue teams. It looks like some of them are back at the moment, changing shifts, going in and out. But what we also saw, and quite devastating for, of course, the people of Kimberley as well, is that we saw quite a number of the mine's employees basically going in to Ekapa Minerals Mine and basically getting their PPEs, getting their personal belongings because of that liquidation process that was announced on Wednesday. Of course, that means that 1,200 people, more or less, are affected and will likely lose their jobs. Now, in South Africa, we talk about effect of 8, so it's about more than, it's nearly 10,000 people that are affected, by that liquidation process. If we look at the 1,200 men and women, and of course those people who they are supporting. But as we see, we just it's very quiet here at Ekapa Mineral Mines, and just the mine safety or mine rescue workers basically exiting and going in and out of the building. Tulas?
As far as the recovery operation, search and recovery operation, have we seen any noticeable change, perhaps in the level of resourcing thereof, since the announcement that the mine will be seeking provisional liquidation? And I ask that because in their papers they say they remain committed to the process, but also acknowledge that it's a process that's taking a huge amount of their resources and actually led directly to them asking for this provisional liquidation. But also I ask in the context of some of the comments that have been made by Minister Gwede Mantashe about prioritizing the recovery operation even before we get to the merits of the liquidation.
Tulas, that is a very contentious issue here in the normal, among Kimberley residents, among the business community, and also among the families of those people who are still trapped underground. People are saying it's callous that Ekapa Minerals, of course, announcing that liquidation process on Wednesday. People of the view that if the liquidation is necessary at all, this should have been done once the bodies have been retrieved. There has been really no noticeable change in the machinery, the property, etc. When the accident did, or the mud rush did take place, operations ceased at that time. So basically what you've seen here at Ekapa Minerals Mine, Tulas, is of course people do come in and they do report for duty, but it is not mine workers who go underground and do the extraction of diamonds, which of course Ekapa Minerals is supposed to do here. And so, this process, of course, being looked at by, with a bit of a contempt from the Kimberley residents, business community, and like I said, the family as well. It's just that wrong timing. Ekapa should have read the room in terms of when they announced that liquidation.
Right.
Tulas?
All right, Ulrich, let's leave it there for now. Ulrich Hendriks is out in Kimberley and monitoring those recovery operations. And believe you me, as soon as something moves, even given the restrictions, right? Because there are some restrictions, we are told, about how they're able to report from there. But you can count on Ulrich giving you the very latest as and when that story moves forward.